Hi, I'm Mark Graham, the Executive Director and General Counsel here at the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and welcome to New Knowledge Today. We're pleased to have with us today Dr. Tim Watson. He's a public affairs specialist for the U.S. Small Business Administration. He's located at the office there in Concord, North Carolina. I know he's been actively involved with helping with Hurricane Helene and has been here in Damascus nearby, helping those folks recover, and wants to share information with us about small business loans today. So, Dr. Watson, we're glad to have you with us. Take it away.
Thank you, Mark. I definitely appreciate that. So I work for the United States Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. Field Operation East responds to the 27 states that is east of the state of Mississippi. Field Operation Center West responds to the 23 states that are west of the state of Mississippi. Why we chose Mississippi, I could not tell you, but that is what we do. So as you see, disasters are occurring all around the United States, and this is in response to Tropical Storm Helene, as Mark has mentioned. I'll go on to the next slide. So with that being said, our mission is basically to make sure that individuals, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and renters are basically aware of our programs, what we do, how we try to get messaging out, and making sure that you are aware of the disaster programs that are available to you in your prospective county or counties, as you might have properties in multiple counties, and to make sure that you are aware of the opportunity to improve disaster recovery outcomes and become more economic resilient by helping communities prepare for, respond to, and recover from, and mitigate against disasters of all types. Doing a presidential declaration for individual assistance, basically the governor submits emergency disaster request funding to the federal government. It goes to the executive branch, then it is received by the president, who's briefed on what's going on. He signs off on it, and he trickles it back down to the governor, and it's disseminated to the declared counties. So with that being said, sometimes it takes time for FEMA as well as Small Business Administration to properly assess the damages within the counties that have been declared for damages, physical damage, and actually appropriate to do messaging as well as fund those who have been affected. So sometimes it might be a lag in response time of a month or 2 months, and that is why the time takes that amount of time. If the president declares a major disaster declaration for individual assistance, SBA disaster loan programs are automatically activated. Businesses of all sizes, including private, nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters, are eligible to apply for their uncompensated physical losses. Small businesses, small cooperatives, small agricultural businesses, and most nonprofits of any size can apply for working capital loans to cover from their economic injury losses. So as you can see, we assist loans for physical damages for those mentioned, for businesses, nonprofits, homeowners, and renters. The economic injury disaster loan just covers businesses and nonprofits. It also extends into counties that do not have any form of physical damages at all. Doing declared counties, they'll have FEMA assistance as well, which we do encourage those who do have physical damages to please take advantage of the FEMA grants, which is obviously free money that you do not have to pay back. And if you are in additional need, at least consider applying to the Small Business Administration, which the application is free. There is up to 60 days after the deadline to apply for the physical damage loan, and there is up to 9 months as far as the deadline is concerned for the working capital loan for the economic injury disaster loan. These are the prospective counties that were declared, which you can see it is a lot. Bedford, Bland, Carroll, the independent city of Galatz, Gals, Grayson, Lee, Montgomery, Pennsylvania, Pulaski, the independent city of Radford, Russell, Scott, Smith, Tazewell, Washington, Wise, and White. Those counties all have FEMA assistance as far as grant funding, as well as the physical damage loan, as well as the economic injury disaster loan. The contiguous counties, not only in Virginia, but also Kentucky, North Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia, all qualify for the economic injury disaster loan for working capital. This is for any form of financial obligations that the business or nonprofit was not able to meet as a direct result of Tropical Storm Helene. So with that being said, I'll give you a few minutes, well, at least 30 seconds to look at this information because I know it's a lot, and take a screenshot if you need to before we go on and move to the next page. And just so you know, you can have properties in multiple counties if it's a business or a nonprofit and apply to multiple loans, as long as there is a separation of the entity type. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide now. As I mentioned before, the physical damage loan for business loans and the residential side, I'll go over in quite a little bit more detail. So the home loans for homeowners qualify up to a $500,000 for the physical damage of the property. Now, if they're approved for whatever reason, they are given an additional 20% for mitigation purposes to be more resilient to any future storm. The renter can also qualify for up to $100,000 for the interior contents of the home, whether it be furniture, electronic devices, personal effects, things of that nature. They're not trying to purchase the property, so obviously they cannot qualify for physical damages to the property itself. Now, if you have vehicular damage from the storm itself, you can also qualify your vehicle as well. As long as the insurance claim has not already been funded out, you can still apply and be funded if approved. Now, for the business loan for businesses and nonprofits, they qualify for up to $2 million for the physical damage to the building and the structure as well. But not only that, for any damages caused by the storm for inventory, machinery, or equipment, they can use those funds to actually make repairs or replace the equipment if it's damaged beyond the point of repair. The economic injury disaster loan, as I mentioned before, is working capital loans that help businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, small businesses engaged in agriculture, and most private nonprofit organizations of all sizes meet their ordinary and necessary financial obligations that cannot be met as a direct result of the declared disaster. So for those private nonprofit organizations, sometimes that is churches, sometimes it's small community colleges. And if you fall into that realm, don't think just because you might not have a source of income for the prospective nonprofit that we cannot assist you. There's certain documentations that you will have to submit to qualify, but I do encourage you to submit an application if you are one of those individuals, businesses, or nonprofits who falls in that private nonprofit organization realm. There's low interest on these loans. The interest for the first 12 months, there is no interest and no payments for the loan for the first 12 months. And that is directly after you have been funded. There is no cost to apply. There is no prepayment penalty. The funds are available if insurance has not been settled, and you may be eligible for refinancing. The home loans can have an interest rate as low as 2.813, as high as 5.65. The low amount of the interest is just if you're approved and can only be funded by the SBA. The higher interest rate is for if you can be funded beyond the Small Business Administration. For business loans, it is 3.25. Well, no, my fault. It's 4.4%. For the lower amount, just for the SBA, it's 8%. For the higher amount, for if you can be funded beyond the SBA, it is 3.25% across the board for nonprofit organizations, and for the economic injury disaster loan for small agricultural businesses, it is 4% across the board, and for the nonprofits, it is 3.25% across the board. So again, there's no cost to apply. Funds can be available if insurance has not been settled. Meaning, if you're in a situation where you have an insurance claim, you filed insurance as you should, because we do request, if you have insurance, to file an insurance claim, you can still be funded, or if you're approved, while waiting for that insurance claim to finalize. Once the insurance claim is finalized, what you'll do with that insurance money is to make sure that you utilize that funding to either pay off the loan or pay off the amount of the loan with all the insurance funds that you have received. If you're in a situation where you have out-of-pocket expenses or you have racked up credit card debt, you can still apply to the United States Small Business Administration disaster programs in this response, because again, we sometimes are not able to respond but two months later. And so with that being said, as long as you can furnish receipts, have some form of documentation, pictures, if you've not made any form of payment to fix some of the damages, that will suffice. And just let you know, an assessment team, not just with the SBA or FEMA, but with FEMA as well, will be sent out to your home to do an inspection of the damages. And for any reason, after you have received an assessment and you've received a call about how much funds that you qualify for, if you do not think it's significant enough, you can always request a reassessment of the damages to see if that amount can change. Just an FYI. These loan terms are flexible terms that can go up to 30 years, meaning whatever you decide, that will be final after you make that suggestion of how long you want to pay on the loan. I always suggest at least 10 to 15 years, because if you're in an area where it's prone to flooding or various situations of disasters, if you're in that disaster zone, I always suggest make that suggestion. But just because you don't want to be in a situation where you choose 5 years and again, you are in another situation of a disaster and you're paying on the loan already. So I just want to make that suggestion. You may apply for mitigation funds, which that is automatic for those who are approved, for an additional 20% of total damage for mitigation. Loans can be modified. As you can see, there is no collateral for loans up to $50,000. But if you have a loan that is $50,000 or above, we do request collateral. Obviously, if you do not have collateral to put up, we cannot request what you do not have. So in those situations, where you might be up in age and you don't want to take on a loan that's maybe $200,000, you can request a lower amount. Or if you're in a situation where, say, you have a $55,000 loan from the SBA or a $60,000 loan, and you do not want to put up the collateral, you can request a lower amount, and anything that's under the $50,000, it will be considered an unsecured loan. So with that being said, I wanted to make those suggestions so that you would be aware. Now, how to apply, this is one of the ways to apply, which is sba.gov/disaster. This again speaks in reference to all of our programs for disaster assistance and some of the funding amounts, as I mentioned before, and some of the things that you may go through as being a borrower, or the purpose of the loan itself. Prime example, the business loan, repairing or replacing real estate, inventory, equipment, fixtures, leasehold improvements, etc. The working capital loan for the economic injury disaster loan, to assist those financial obligations that you were not able to meet as a result of the storm. Home loans to repair or replace primary residence, and things of that nature, especially for the mitigation and preventing future loss of the same type of injury to the home that may have occurred in the past. That is for the business and the private nonprofit organizations as well. These are some of the eligibility requirements for those who may reside in the declared counties. The eligibility of the home or the business must be in the declared county. The credit history of applicants must have a credit history acceptable to the SBA. And what that basically means is the SBA loan specialist who will take an overview of your loan will look at the credit history and see if it's sufficient to be able to provide a loan to you. So if you're in a situation where something comes up and you receive a decline letter for that, or for the credit score, which the minimum credit score that we request is 570, which is obviously lower than most banking institutions. So if you're in a situation where the credit history or the credit score doesn't align, or you're in a situation where it's deemed that you might not have the funding to be able to repay the loan, as that is one of the eligibility criteria, or something else comes up and you receive a decline letter, it does not necessarily mean you decline in full unless the letter says final decline. The SBA at that moment in time has declined you for whatever reason that there is. You'll receive a letter electronically and in the mail or within your application portal. And what you will be trying to do is overturn the reason of decline. And so you'll have up to 6 months at that moment in time to submit a um, a determination of a reconsideration. So that's what you'll be doing. You'll be requesting reconsideration to overturn the reason of decline. So I wanted to make sure that that was evidently clear before we moved on to the next slide. So you would know that. These are additional collateral requirements, as I was mentioning before the $50,000. That is specifically for presidential declarations, which that is the declaration that we're in for Virginia, and that requirement is $50,000 or above. Anything under that amount I mentioned before is unsecured. Any situation where there may be an agency declaration in Virginia in the future for rural and rapid, it is a $14,000 requirement for collateral. And some of the other things for these different programs up to $100,000 in unsecured disaster business loans and combined physical and economic injury loans and funding. So those are different forms of disaster declarations that we respond to, and how the collateral requirements are sometimes different. The SBA will not decline a loan for the lack of collateral, as I mentioned before, but requires collateral if it's available. The same thing for war insurance. If you're in a situation where you did not have insurance prior to requesting a loan, that you will not be declined for not having insurance prior to applying to the SBA. These are additional informations concerning the um, the requirements for businesses and applicants. It may not correspond to you at all. It may. So affiliates include but are not limited to business partners, subsidiaries, and or businesses with common ownership and management. Meaning, if you have multiple owners of the business itself, you need to make sure that all of their informations, phone number, email address is accurate, and whatever documentation for ownership of the business, that their name is legible on that documentation. The latest federal tax return for all of the business owners. So with that being said, you might be in a situation where quarterly you always apply to submit your taxes at a later time, depending on what kind of business that you have. And that's okay. If you are in that situation, the SBA still can assist you, and we would need to know when you are planning to file taxes. Other documentations might be taken into consideration, like a profit and loss statement and a current balance sheet. If you're a 4506C or other versions of the 4506, you may be requested of certain documentation if you're a business or if you're a nonprofit that does not have any form of income for that particular year. Does not mean you will be denied for approved funding. It's just documentation that the SBA has to have. Personal financial statement documentation. You'll see forms for the SBA, which is a 413, completed and signed by the applicant if a sole proprietor, each of the applicants, the applicant business, and each general partner or managing partner must be on that documentation. So these are just scenarios of different things that may be required of you as a business owner or a nonprofit owner. So just a heads up, might not apply to you specifically, but if it does, just be on the lookout for whatever documentation. Once you create your application in the portal, you'll get constant updates of information like this for requests. The small businesses in declared disaster areas, including adjacent counties with substantial economic injury due to the disaster, may be eligible for economic injury disaster loans, even without any physical damage, which I was mentioning before. So all of those counties that were outside of the declared counties, and not only Virginia, but the other states like Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee, are all eligible for the economic injury disaster program. The EIDLs help pay down financial obligations and operating expenses, as I mentioned before. These loans are available if you have an existing disaster or COVID-19 loan or PPP loan that you may have occurred or incurred funding during COVID-19. If you're in a situation where that loan is still being paid on, or those loans are still being paid on, as long as it is in the standard of current, you should be fine. If it is not current and you apply, it will come up just to let you know, and you will be declined for that reason. Does not mean it is a final decline. Small Business Administration will give you an opportunity to get that prior loan current, and it is a possibility with other documentation that you may have to submit if you're in that situation that you can still be funded if approved. IDLs provide the necessary working capital to help small businesses until operations return to normal. That's what the Economic Injury Disaster Program is basically for. These are some of the things that you would need, just an FYI, if you do apply. If you're just a homeowner or a renter, cell phone, email addresses, contact information for all applicants. Make sure that this information is accurate. As I mentioned before, the assessment teams and not only the Small Business Administration FEMA will contact you as well. And if the information is accurate, it is a possibility after 3 attempts that you will be in a situation where your application is withdrawn. You do not want to have to go through that situation because you not necessarily will have to start the process all over again, but you will need to call and confirm and send off emails to update that information and make sure that you're given that so you can move forward in the application process. The Social Security number for all applicants, owners, information for the EIN if you're a business or a nonprofit, financial information, income, account balances, monthly expenses, the federal income tax, like I was mentioning before, and insurance information if available. As I mentioned before, if you do not have insurance at that moment in time, that is perfectly okay. As you can still get approved for a loan if you do not have current insurance and for current insurance for your business or nonprofit or being a renter. These are just some of the steps and processes of how to submit an application. I'll kind of be brief. These are some of the things that you'll see when you're in the portal, disaster declaration search. So basically when you go inside of the SBA.gov/disaster, this will come up after you go to the application page. To apply for the disaster, you need to determine where the disaster is at. Registering for my SBA, click to start a disaster application and completing the application. You need to find out what state that you're in and what disaster it is before you move on. Determining your eligibility, you'll see multiple things pop up for, as you see, COVID EIDL, disaster assistance loan. This would be a disaster assistance loan. Finding out your state and your country, your county, determining whether it's a home loan or a business loan, or if it's both. You might have to submit separate applications if it's both, and it's for the same county. If it's a physical damage loan or economic injury loan, or if you're not sure, just don't select not sure. Make the phone call. 1-800-659-2955 to customer service if you need additional help before finalizing your application. These are just some of the other informations, some of the things that I've already mentioned. Some of the things that you will see when you're creating your application for kind of capital access for our financial system, and again, selecting the disaster that applies for you for assistance. These are some of our federal partners, like the incubator, as mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the Small Business Development Center, the Veteran Business Operations Center or Outreach Centers, Operation Hope, Women's Business Centers. They prepare financial statements to assist you in applying for the SBA disaster loan, successfully stay in business, assisting with credit scores, and a variety of different things. So if you're in a situation where you decline or you're just trying to get your information corrected before you apply with us, please utilize them to your assistance. They are already in your backyard, and they are already there to assist you. We forge relationships with them across the United States as they work to help assist us with outreach and to provide webinars or in-person workshops like we're on today. We also have a website to plan, prepare, and to mitigate services that we have. So, hey, Tim, well, what do I do if I know a hurricane or a tornado is getting ready to hit or flooding is getting ready to occur in my neck of the woods of where my business lies? You would go on to our disaster preparedness website. You will view our checklist and just going through the prompts to see what do I do prior to, what do I do while it's occurring, and what do I do after. These things will help you be better prepared before it actually occurs, resulting in a quicker ability to recover and being more resilient in the future to future occurrences that are in that area. We also have informations on these websites of how the SBA can help you respond and recover for physical damage loans, mitigation assistance loans, the economic injury disaster loan, and sometimes in certain situations, military reservist loans, which help eligible businesses with staff on active duty leave. Be sure to apply under the declaration that fits your losses. You can apply to both declarations if you were affected by both. And when I mentioned that, so I am working West Virginia and in Virginia for the federal declarations for the presidential declarations. So if you're in a situation where you have properties in multiple states or you have properties in one declaration that are in a declared county or multiple declared counties or the declared county and the contiguous county, you can apply to multiple business or nonprofit loans. You can only apply for one residential loan. Unless the secondary home is occupied by a relative or there are other circumstances to be looked upon to possibly get you approved for the second residence. So I wanted to put that information out there to make you aware of that. You can apply for loans for multiple disasters, and there is no limit to those ones that you can apply to as well. I think the most I've had someone apply to was 8 at one time, and all of the information that he had was sufficient, and he was approved for 8 different loans. One was residential, and the other ones were all businesses. Payments for multiple loans cannot unfortunately be consolidated, meaning going back to having a prior disaster loan with the SBA or COVID-19 or PPP loan. Unfortunately, those are not in the position where we can consolidate them at this moment in time. So I wanted to make sure that I put that information out there as well. These are some of the ways that actually you can apply. SBA.gov/disaster, visiting a disaster recovery center, or portable loan outreach center or business recovery center for in-person assistance. Calling our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-659-2955, or emailing disaster customer service at SBA.gov. That is going to be a good email for you if you're in a situation where your application has been declined as well. You want to contact them via email to submit additional documentation if you are not able to submit it via portal. We also have a phone number of 711. It is for the deaf and hard of hearing, or someone who may have speech disability. And we also have multiple interpreters as well. So don't think if you're in a situation where you don't speak English quite well, that we cannot assist you. We do have multiple interpretations of different languages, I think up to 25 right now. So we should be able to assist you. And I know I have given out a lot of information at a very short point in time. So I want to provide you with an opportunity to ask questions if you have any.
So Timothy, that was very insightful. You know, we work with some of the small businesses around here that have been impacted by the hurricane. And I had no idea that you had that 0%, not that you didn't have to pay back for 12 months. This is great information. So we will get this link out to folks who have been contacting us. You really gave a great presentation. I don't really have any questions. This is the most thorough presentation I believe I've seen when it comes to, disaster recovery and SBA.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. I do thank you for your time. And I'm glad you recorded it. But so, people's schedules are always crazy. You never know. And although we didn't have the participation that we wanted, we will still will be able to enjoy a response, because you can send this video out and they can take advantage of what they learned.
Yes,
Absolutely. We'll do that.
we will. And just so you know, Mark Graham is on the Damascus recovery team. And so
Okay.
that's the area of Southwest Virginia that was the hardest hit. And so he's already on that team. So, he'll be able to use this video on many occasions. And we appreciate it because we needed this information.
Absolutely. And so if you guys need me in any capacity, even if I'm on another declaration or in a situation where you have a lot of applicants who have questions. Well, hey Mark, I just got this decline letter, or hey Mark, I'm trying to find out the status of my loan. The information that I'm seeing when I go into my portal is not adding up. It's a lot of gray area. Can you help me? Or if they're in a situation like I mentioned, where their application is withdrawn because either we have not been able to get in touch with them for whatever reason, I can help you. So send me a batch of the applications. Send me the name of the applicants, the name of the business, and the most important thing is the application number. If you can send me that information, I can find out what's going on and I can give you a response.
Very helpful. And we'll post your information at the end of this video as well when it goes out. So thanks again for all the information. Thanks for what you're doing to help our folks at their time of need. We appreciate all you're doing, and thanks so much.
You're welcome. Before I leave, can I get a photo with you guys for my report for the day?
Sure.
Okay, give me 1 second. I got to set it up. Okay, I got it.
Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. And like I said, I'm available. So again, if you guys want to do a second round of this, especially with you being in a different capacity as well, Mark, let me know.
Great. They were very complimentary. I spoke to town council the other day down in Damascus, and I told them about this, that we were having this event on the web for the new knowledge, and many of them were very familiar with your office and their work already, because you all had a temporary facility, not only here at our incubator, but in the town of Damascus itself, and they were very appreciative. So thanks for all you're doing.
You're certainly welcome. And I will find out if we still have the temporary operation in Galax. I'm not sure right now if it's still open or closed, but it was at a SBDC. So I'll do a follow-up today and I'll send you over an email. And in fact, if you two would, one of you send me an email because I don't have your informations, and I'll send you some documentation to let you know if they're still open or not.
Okay.
Because individuals will be able to go into the recovery center and speak to someone in person.
Good deal. All right. Well, thanks so much. You have a good day now. Thanks for your
You
time.
as well. Thank you.